Dear Boomers, yesterday we talked about Bandy X. Lee and her interview with Anthony Davis on Midas Touch. His show is called The Weekend Show. And I am so happy that he did that interview because it seems to have given her, Bandy Lee, a little bit more of an opening into a public discourse about the criminology of Trump's criminal brain. So, it's not just a pathology, it's actually a criminology that is reflected in his long history of committing crimes and getting away with these crimes. Bandy warns that Trump's behavior resembles that of violent offenders and poses risks to democracy and public health. Okay, so she is a forensic psychiatrist who has analyzed Donald Trump's behavior and compared it to violent offenders she has worked with. She has warned about the potential dangers of his actions. Well, potential actions, we have actually seen true dangers of his actions. May I just pinpoint the January 6th insurrection, which I believe some of his supporters don't believe it really happened. It's fake. Oh, come on. I saw it with my own eyes the day it happened. So Bandy believes that Donald Trump exhibits behavior that are similar to violent offenders. She had predicted Trump's refusal to concede power and potential for violence as seen on January the 6th, 2021. Lee argues that Trump's behavior is manipulative and appeals to vulnerable followers who are susceptible. But anybody is susceptible. I feel like for the last 4 to 6 years or 8 years, we have been held hostage by Donald Trump. Women especially. Our rights have been taken away. Our reproductive health care has been taken away. And that means that so I watched the Democratic convention last night, and they had some women and their husbands there, or their significant others who may not have been there, had problems with their pregnancy, and like in Texas and Kentucky, and these people were not given any kind of health care that would have saved their lives. They almost died. Hey! They almost died because when they went to the hospital, when they were bleeding, the doctors couldn't do anything, or else they would have gone to jail also, had they taken care of the patients as they should have. So that was heartbreaking. In fact, the whole time that we were watching the convention, the whole place was crying. There wasn't a dry eye, as they say, in the whole huge arena. And I personally cried all night long. So as a reproductive health and women's health, for all my years as a nurse practitioner / nurse, I have been an advocate for women's health and women's reproductive health. And it's really something else. They showed pictures of Donald Trump bragging about how he had taken away these rights, and he was very proud of it. And so Lee predicted Trump's refusal to concede power, and she argues that Trump's behavior is manipulative and appeals to vulnerable followers. Lee experienced her experience working with violent offenders and prison gang leaders informed her analysis of Trump's behavior. Trump's statements encouraging violence and his refusal to denounce white supremacists are cited as evidence. So there is the Goldwater rule, which is what kind of stepped into the flow of her ability to let the public know how dangerous Donald Trump is. The Goldwater rule is an APA guideline stating it is unethical for a psychiatrist to offer professional opinions without personally examining the patient. The Goldwater rule limited Lee's ability to publicly warn the public about Trump's behavior, publicly warn. The American Psychiatric Association enforced this rule, which restricted her professional responsibilities. Bandy Lee faced professional and personal consequences for her public warnings about Trump, including losing her job, and her job was at Yale University. She has since sued Yale for violating her economic freedom. So that case is still pending. Lee's public statements, and she had a Twitter conversation with Alan Dershowitz, who made it almost, he complained to Yale, I think. I mean, because she disagreed with him, he decides to act like a baby, much like Trump acts like a baby when anybody disagrees with him. This led to professional backlash. And lest we forget, the boards of these universities are now, probably riddled with Trump supporters, or at least some of them, and some Trump supporters. And so it's not advisable to become controversial about these things. But she's brave enough to do it. And I really admire her for this, because we need to get this out into the public sphere and stop denying the dangers of Donald Trump. Her background includes working with violent offenders and studying the psychology, the brain science, and sociology of violence. And it turns out that under a Republican administration, there's more violence in society, and under Democrats, the crime rate goes down. This has been scientifically researched. It is true. The Republicans believe in tax cuts for the rich, which does not filter down. There's no trickle down to the people like you and I. And people get desperate, and they might start stealing so that they can feed their families. She believes the scientific principles should be applied to understand and address violence as a public health issue. Her work with what is called Resolve to Stop the Violence Project and research on violence informs her views. The broader implications of Trump's behavior is that it stymies democracy, and it stymies public health, and it stymies discourse, honest discourse and respect. Trump's behavior poses a danger to democracy and public health. It's a public health crisis. Trump is a public health crisis. Lee cites Trump's incitement of violence and lack of accountability for his actions. He doesn't show any remorse for anything that he has done. He is like a little baby, and he could not seem to readjust the fact that Biden stepped away and Harris took his place with Biden's blessing. He just can't adjust. He has no grace, no decorum of higher planes of thinking. He is a menace to society. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. So come up here and look at my recent video, which is about this very topic. And I am a nurse. Public health crises is really something I am very interested in. And the fact that we have Trump, who could be our next president, it's looking less likely, but they're getting uglier and uglier in their attacks on Kamala. We have a right to defend her because she has our back and we need to have hers.